Yo, what is up everyone? My name is Jack Krause from NASCAR on MDK. Welcome back to the episode of Inside the Lines. We have a new update regarding the future of the NASCAR season with the 2020 schedule. We had a feeling that some tracks would be removed from the schedule, and today NASCAR confirmed at least 3 tracks or 3 race dates that will not be part of the 2020 season. First off, Chicagoland out from the schedule. Sonoma also gone, as well as the Richmond Spring event. Now, on the NASCAR.com article, it shows off the race dates that those tracks will be replacing. For example, Chicagoland, which was set to take place on June 21st, will now be realigned to Darlington on May 17th. Xfinity Chicagoland race, which was scheduled to take place on June 20th, will now be held May 19th at Darlington. And as well as Chicagoland is supposed to set host to the Gainer Outdoor Truck Series, as well as the ARCA Menard Series, as those officials will indicate that those races will be assigned to a later date. Richmond, which was scheduled to take place on April 19th, has now been replaced by Darlington on May 20th. Truck Series race, which was supposed to run there on April 18th, has been postponed, but officials are saying details will come later for rescheduling. But keep in mind, Richmond will still keep its September 11th-12th race weekend that remains on the schedule, which will take place in the playoffs. And then finally, Sonoma Raceway, which was supposed to take place on June 14th, has now been moved to Charlotte on May 27th on, I believe that's a Wednesday. Officials said the road course said in a release that they had worked with NASCAR to find an alternate date on the schedule, but a suitable replacement could not be reached given the ongoing uncertainty around large events in California. Now this is pretty big, not for Richmond or Sonoma. We know those 2 tracks are going to return to the NASCAR schedule, but the track that I'm worried about is Chicagoland. It has been rumored for few years now that Chicagoland might not be part of the 2021 schedule when all the contracts are up for grabs. There had been rumors going around that 2020 could be the final race for Chicagoland Speedway. And now that that race gets postponed, that is going to be very, very big. And I think it's going to further cement the uncertainty of Chicagoland returning to the NASCAR schedule in 2021 and onwards. Chicagoland Speedway President Scott Paddock said in a statement regarding NASCAR's announcement, he said, quote, "The difficult decision to realign our race events was a combination of where we fell on the schedule, proximity to NASCAR teams, and the safety and well-being of our community and larger NASCAR industry. We will miss the roar of engines at Chicagoland Speedway this season, but we will be rooting for and supporting our NASCAR colleagues at Darlington Raceway as competition returns on Sunday, May 17th. Now, the interesting part about that quote is that there's 2 other quotes that come with it, one from each track president from each track of Richmond and Sonoma. Richmond, you already know Richmond is going to be part of NASCAR in some way, shape, or form because it is pretty close to NASCAR's headquarters and it's part of the playoffs, so you're not going to get rid of that schedule. Sonoma Raceway, it's out in the west and it's on a road course. NASCAR, they really want to add more road courses to the schedule. It makes sense to keep that. But with Chicagoland, it's different. Chicagoland is in that, it's always been in that gray area of, you know, on how the playoffs is the only reason why it's keeping this event, or Chicagoland is even still on the NASCAR schedule. And now I've heard from Jared the Iceberg, who has said multiple times that he doesn't feel like NASCAR is going to be part with Chicagoland in 2021 and ongoing. I think the fact that the president has not said we look forward to continuing next year, or, you know, encouraging or offer some form of encouragement and hey, we'll be back next year, kind of worries me. We saw it with the Sonoma president, and I'll read the last quote from the Sonoma track president. He said that we are excited that NASCAR is coming back to broadcast television and are ready to support the upcoming events at our Speedway Motorsports tracks. We look forward to NASCAR's return to Sonoma in 2021. That tells me, okay, there's already been some communication. More than likely, Sonoma is going to be part of NASCAR in 2021. You know, Richmond is going to be part of NASCAR in 2021. But with Chicagoland, the president said nothing about the future. All he said was we're excited that NASCAR is back. That's all he said. He didn't say anything about 2021, didn't say anything about the future, didn't say nothing along the lines of, we can't wait for racing to return to this track. Nothing like that. That tells me, okay, there's some issues going on. Whether, you know, whatever the case may be, there's some issues going on, and I do feel like Chicagoland will be out of the sport by 2021. And that sucks because, I mean, if you look at the history of NASCAR in Chicago, not that good. Okay, before Chicagoland came around in 2001, there was another track, Chicago Motor Speedway, I think that's what it's called, and it hosts tracks, I believe, the Truck Series, the Kart Series back then, and I believe also the Busch Series, if I'm not mistaken, for a couple years now. Now, they demolished that place to make room for Chicagoland Speedway. Now, Chicago Motor Speedway is now home to a Walmart shopping plaza. Now you got Chicagoland Speedway, that was supposed to usher in the new wave of NASCAR when they were growing and growing in the late 90s, early 2000s. And now that might be gone as well. It's crazy, to be fair. It is just crazy to see how the rise and fall of NASCAR in Chicago has been going for the past 2 decades. Now again, right now, those are the only 3 tracks that will not get a race date. NASCAR has not made any announcements regarding future race dates. The reason, now I see a lot of people saying, well, why doesn't Kansas lose a race date? Well, mainly it's because the casino, that Hollywood casino that is built right outside the racetrack, NASCAR owns that, at least 50% of that casino. So obviously when you own something, you're going to want for it to be part of something. NASCAR is not going to get rid of a Kansas date, mainly because they own part of it, at least a casino which pays big for Kansas Speedway. They're obviously going to want to have as many races there as possible, 2 being the max. Still wish though Kansas would get 1. I just don't like Mountain Half Tracks getting 2 racetracks, or at least so many of them getting 2 racetracks. I'm kind of surprised Kentucky kept a race date. Very surprising by that one, but to be fair, Kentucky is close to NASCAR headquarters. You see, all the tracks that are being postponed or they're being canceled are tracks that are way out there. Chicagoland is way out there. Sonoma, it's across the freaking country. Richmond, I'm kind of surprised at, because I thought Richmond is kind of close by, you know, in proximity of NASCAR's headquarters. I thought they would make the trip there, but obviously not. And it makes me wonder about other tracks that might be losing a date. Texas, I feel like Texas is going to get a date because, I mean, to be fair, IndyCar is going to be racing at Texas on June 6th, I believe. So we know Texas has the capability of holding races. I'm surprised we haven't heard anything from Watkins Glen, you know, because Watkins Glen is in New York. It's at the heart and center of this pandemic in the United States, or at least one of the hot spots of this pandemic. I'm surprised that Watkins Glen hasn't said anything. New Hampshire, everything up in the Northeast, I'm surprised we haven't heard much from them. New Hampshire is another track. Pocono. Well, Pocono, I feel like Pocono's, they're going to try their best to get a race in because they do have that doubleheader. But there are certain tracks that I'm surprised hasn't been, or at least hasn't had a race canceled. Like Dover, for example. I'm surprised that hasn't had a race canceled yet. But yeah, it's very interesting to see what's going to take place in the future coming weeks regarding the future of NASCAR and its schedule, regarding if there's going to be even more tracks going to be taken off the schedule and what will be their replacements. But that's going to be it for this episode of Inside the Lines. Guys, if you guys enjoyed this video, please leave a like. Tell me in the comment section down below, what are you guys' thoughts on this story? Are you happy that Kansas, Chicagoland is going to be losing a date? Are you happy that Sonoma is going to be losing a date? If not, again, tell me in the comment section down below. But until next time, my name is 𝘏𝙗𝙙 from NASCAR on MDK, and I'll see you guys in the next video.